In the 1970s, there was one face that defined Italian beauty. She was called the divine creature. Men wanted her. Women wanted to be her. She had the innocence of a girl and the allure of a siren. She was the highest-paid actress in Italy. But if you visited her home in 2015, you wouldn't find a movie star. You would find an elderly woman living in poverty, relying on charity to eat. And most shockingly of all, you wouldn't find a single mirror. They say she covered them all up because she couldn't bear to see what had become of the most beautiful woman in the world. This is the story of Laura Antonelli, and this is her final curtain call. Laura wasn't born into glamour. She was born in Pola, Italy, in 1941, a refugee of war. She started as a gym teacher. But a face like hers doesn't stay hidden in a gymnasium for long. Her breakthrough came in 1973 with a film called Maligia. It was a cultural earthquake in Italy. She played a humble housemaid who unknowingly seduces the entire household. The film made 6 billion lire at the box office. Overnight, Laura Antonelli wasn't just an actress, she was a national obsession. It wasn't just her films that made headlines, it was her love life. For 8 years, she was half of Europe's most explosive power couple. She fell in love with the French icon Jean-Paul Belmondo. They were the Brad and Angelina of their day. Paparazzi followed them from Rome to Paris. They fought passionately, they loved passionately, and they lived a life of absolute excess. When that relationship ended in 1980, something in Laura broke. She was left alone in a villa that felt too big, with a phone that rang less and less. The industry didn't care about her acting range. They cared about her face and her body. Her beauty wasn't just an asset, it was her only currency. And currency eventually loses its value. By the late 1980s, the roles started drying up. Laura was approaching 50. In an industry obsessed with youth, she was terrified of becoming invisible. She was fragile, lonely, and searching for an escape. And sadly, she found that escape in the wrong crowd. On the night of April 27, 1991, her world collapsed. Police raided her villa near Rome. It wasn't a quiet arrest, it was a spectacle. The media reports claimed police found 36 grams of cocaine on a silver platter in her living room. The silver platter detail became infamous, a symbol of her decadent fall from grace. The press, who had worshipped her for decades, turned into wolves. They paraded her in handcuffs. They branded her a criminal. She was sentenced to house arrest. The divine creature was now a fallen woman. But Laura was a fighter. She wanted to clear her name. She wanted to work again. And that desire led her to the biggest mistake of her life. It is 1991. Despite the scandal, producers offered her a lifeline. A sequel to her most famous movie, Maligia 2000. It was supposed to be her comeback, her return to the throne. But there was a condition. The producers allegedly hinted that she needed to look fresh. She needed to look like the girl from 1973. Laura, desperate to be loved again, agreed to cosmetic treatments. She went to a surgeon for a course of collagen injections. It went wrong, horribly wrong. Laura suffered a massive allergic reaction called angioedema. Her face, that legendary perfect face, swelled up. Her features were distorted. The reaction didn't just go away after a few days, it lingered. When she arrived on set for Maligia 2000, the crew was shocked. They tried to hide it with lighting and makeup, but you couldn't hide it. The movie was released. It was a disaster. The audience gasped, not in awe, but in shock. The comeback was over before it began. Most stars would hide. Laura chose to fight. She sued the production company and the surgeon, claiming the procedure had disfigured her and ruined her career. She wanted justice for her face. It became one of the longest, saddest legal battles in Italian history. For 13 years, she fought in court. She demanded millions in damages. But the legal system was cruel. The defense argued that her appearance wasn't ruined by the surgery, but by natural aging and her lifestyle choices. Imagine being the most beautiful woman in the world and sitting in a courtroom while lawyers argue that you are now ugly simply because you got old. It broke her spirit completely. She eventually won a small compensation, but it was a hollow victory. The money was gone, her career was gone, and the stress took its toll. She was briefly committed to a mental health clinic. The Laura Antonelli of the red carpets was dead. In her final years, Laura retreated to a small, modest apartment in La Dispoli, a town near Rome. She cut ties with the world. She was so destitute that she had to appeal to the Italian government for help. She applied for the Bacchelli Law, a state fund for famous citizens who have fallen into poverty. It was the final humiliation. The woman who once wore diamonds was now asking the state for money to buy groceries. She lived on a tiny state pension and help from the few friends who stayed loyal, like actor Lino Banfi. She turned to religion, listening to Catholic radio all day. She refused to own a TV. She didn't want to see the movies she used to star in. In 2015, a friend found her lifeless body in her home. She had died of a heart attack, alone, at age 73. When they found a piece of paper on her desk, it wasn't a script. It was a note with her final wishes for her funeral. She wrote just one heartbreaking request. "I ask that my brother Claudio, Lino Banfi, and Claudia Cole be the only ones to attend." Even in death, she wanted to hide. Laura Antonelli was a victim of a system that treats beauty as a consumable product. When she was perfect, they worshipped her. When she tried to stay perfect for them, they destroyed her. She died wanting to be forgotten. But we choose to remember her. This has been a Final Curtain Call. Thanks for watching.